for sports as a high schooler through almost all 4 years. Alex Cadice has a better story than those that I've told tonight, and he's here to share with you. I hope you give him your attention, and he comes from a wonderful family. If you've ever had a chance to talk to Alex's dad, Vic, more than likely it was not a short conversation. But a wonderful family, and I know he's got a lot of friends with him tonight. Won't you give him a great big welcome? Alex Cadice, our heart star for 2 hours away. Alex Cadice.
Hi, everybody. I think I should start by saying it's a little bit of catch-22. I have a heart condition and I'm not supposed to elevate my heart rate, but then they give me the opportunity to talk in front of 700 people. Being hypocritical. It's an honor to talk to you all. I'm honored to be part of the American Heart Association. I may have met you before, but odds are if I have met you, my dad did all the talking for me. So anyway, my story starts about 2 years ago. I was playing basketball with my buddies, and nothing too crazy, just a little pickup game. And I was going to pick up the ball when all of a sudden I had this total out-of-body, crazy chest pain experience. And, I went down to the knee, got really dizzy, and I thought I'd be okay, but got a little bit worse, sat down, and I ended up passing out. I was out about 9 minutes. Would later find out that at one point I could have been considered legally dead, but that's just a fun little story to tell people now. And went back to my room. Didn't really think much about it. I thought it was kind of cool that I passed out for the first time. And I went, took a shower. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna take a break from class today. I'm gonna not do my homework. Just gonna relax. Started watching Aladdin, and it's actually the last time I watched that movie because halfway through I started having the symptoms again, and I was getting tingly sensations and shortness of breath and all that good stuff. And I decided I probably should call my parents to let them know what's going on and ask for help because they've led me to this point so well, so I should keep going with that. My mom answered the phone, and then I realized the con of the situation would be that she would totally freak out and probably make the situation a little bit more difficult to deal with. Not worse, definitely not worse, but more difficult. And so I hung up on it. That made it worse. That did it. And so I called my sister and talked to her, and she's like, "Oh, what did you eat today?" Granola bar. And it's like, "Oh, I'm sure it was that. You'll be fine." Okay, totally trust my sister. But before I could say goodbye to her, my breathing got so out of control I couldn't contain myself, and I literally couldn't say goodbye. So my roommate kind of came in because he heard me gasping, and I asked him to call 911, and they came and they got me, and they rushed me out of to the hospital. It's like November, and all I'm wearing is a t-shirt and my boxers, and so they're wheeling me out. It's like 13 degrees, and throw me in the ambulance, and we're whistling away to the hospital. And I remember, trying to take in the whole situation. The guy was way more serious than I was about it. And he's like, "We're going to need you to take off your shirt." Okay? So I reach down and take off my shirt. He's like, "No, we don't have time." So he takes the scissors, cuts them right up the middle. And at that point, I had just passed out, and I couldn't breathe for about a minute or two. But that was the most pissed I was at that point, because it's one of those shirts where your parents get you, it's way too big, so you wait 10 years, and it fits perfectly. So, no decision there, that's gone. So, they went to tell me what was going on, and they sent me in the hospital room. The first one in, so I had 15 doctors and nurses whistling around me, checking up on me. I kept asking, "What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me?" And they wouldn't tell me. Finally, after it kind of died down a little bit, I convinced one of the nurses to tell me. She told me I was having a ventricular arrhythmia attack. Basically, they clocked my heart rate in the ambulance at over 300 beats per minute. The almost 60, so a bit above average. And so, you know, they like the most common side effect of VTAC is sudden death. So, you know, I instantly shut up and I just listened to whatever they said. And, you know, I spent the next few days, you know, in the hospital. And, you know, having a heart condition is, you know, one thing. But I would say the worst part of having a heart condition is that unknown. Basically spent 9 days in there just doing a guess and check. Like, let's see if this is the problem. Or that. 2 of my surgeries, they recreated my VTAC by using electricity to pump my heart rate back up to 300. And literally what they did was they just watched to see what my body did. And I mean, it's funny because when they did these surgeries, you know, they give you laughing gas, and you know, I was in pretty good shape at the time, and I would just run through it really quick, and I would wake up in the middle of these procedures, and you know, I'm opened up, or you know, something's sticking in me, and I have to turn around and find the nurse. You know, the nurse, this. So I remember one of them, I woke up and the nurse was no one to my left, and I look over, but she's not there, so I look right, not there, and all I hear is, "We got it, clear." Apparently they got my heart rate back up, but I wasn't responding, so they shocked me back when I was awake. So I don't know if you guys have ever had, you know, some electricity running through your body, but it's a pretty intense experience. And I blacked out. I remember when I came to, I was being wheeled out, and my brother-in-law Ryan was standing there outside the room. I think I just got shocked. And you know, they wheeled me away, and the doctor comes up to my family. He's like, "You know what? We were successful in the fact that we recreated surgery, or the heart rate, but we couldn't figure out what was wrong." Side note, we did have to shock him. And Ryan's like, "Yeah, you already told us." And the doctor, he was not supposed to know that. So, I mean, yeah, it's funny with a heart condition, like, you know, it's very serious. I have an ARVC, basically the muscle and electricity in my heart doesn't correspond too well sometimes. And to overcompensate, my heart rate will just speed up, possibly out of control. You know, I joke around about it because that's the easiest way for me to deal with it. I hate being Debbie Downer. I don't want to be like, you know, those Sarah McLachlan dog commercials where all you want to do is cry because of one night yeah, so, I mean, you go through all these things and you kind of accept your humility and stuff like that. Like, you know, you're in a hospital for 9 days and you have to ask permission to pee, and you have to, you know, like, ask to, like, take your clothes off and stuff like that. I remember, ironically, the toughest day I've ever had in my life. They come in, they, you know, diagnose me, and say, "Alex, you have an ARVC." At the time, they actually said, "Well, I'll re-diagnose later," but not really important. And like, "You have this disorder. Here are the results. You gotta cut out sports." And having the fact that I've led my life almost 90% focused on sports, like, you know, I was lucky enough to play all those sports in high school and do all the stuff with my life. To have something like that's such like a staple in your life just yanked out is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Like, I mean, I'd like to keep my man card, but you know, I was like crying when he was telling me that, like, you know, "You can't do this, you can't do that." And literally what they do is, because it's such a foreign thing, is they have this 3x3 grid, and they tell you, do's and don'ts. And my don'ts were 8 of the 9 blocks. And it goes like, you know, from top to bottom, left to right. And the bottom left block is the things I could do. And it was golf, croquet, and bowling. I just played like 4 sports in high school. I liked running, I liked moving around. And all of a sudden, never had time to play golf. I suck at golf. No one's played croquet in the last 50 years. Bowling's fun, but literally, I mean, that's just like a little hobby to do on a Friday. So, I mean, literally having that, like, to haggle with, why can't I do softball? I mean, like, old guys do it in Jeff City all the time. Like haggling, like do's and don'ts, you know, and like if the situation wasn't tough enough, you know, arguing like, I think I should be able to do that, I think I should be able to do that. you start thinking about like every little thing that can get your heart rate up. Like I had to pitch, can I go to Six Flags and ride Batman? And like, oh, well, most people in your case are only like 60 years old. They're not too keen on getting on a ride and, you know, being flipped around and all that stuff. So, you know, I had to pitch every little thing. And when I say every little thing, I mean every little thing. So, the most embarrassing moment followed my most worst moment is because I'm in this room with my doctors and my sister and my parents, and I'm thinking of every little thing that could possibly get my heart rate up. You're laughing, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, oh my God, what? I mean, I have to ask. I mean, that's so, looking around left and right, like, clearly nothing to look at, but I'm like panicking. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I mean, I have to ask, but I don't want to do it for my mom. My dad did a thing. He's a religion teacher. That's even worse. So then, if that's not bad enough, to have all of a sudden your sister pipe in, hey, what about sex? Yeah, Megan, what? I didn't even think about that. That's seriously. And he did get an answer, but I saved that for third date material, so. But all in all, I mean, it's not fun, but I have fun with it, I'm sorry. Like, I have friends and, you know, I go to parties and you talk to people and I don't go up and introduce like, hey, I'm Alex Cadice, I have a heart condition. But, you know, like my friends are there to back me up. I try not to let it define myself because it's, I mean, if you let it define yourself, you're going to wreck yourself, even though I don't like rhyming like that. But, I mean, it's such a hard thing to like grasp. The gravity of it is huge. Like, my grandpa, I never got to meet him because he passed away from a related issue that we think is the same issue I had. He passed when he was in late 30s, and
no, 53.
53. But his brother was younger, and so the same diagnosis they have is what I have. So to know that what this is, you know, could possibly be shortening my life a little bit, you know, I try not to let that happen because then life becomes like a countdown, you know. You go have a fun moment, but if you think about that, it's like, all right, well then that's one less moment. So I try not to think about that. I try to have fun with things. Like when I go to parties, I know Trey in particular was there, and I don't know what it is when you go to parties and you talk to people, especially girls who've been drinking, and you talk to them, and I mean, I'm a smart ass. I'll be the first one to tell you that. And you joke with them, and you give them a little crap or whatever, and then whatever it is about girls, they like to slap you and say, you know, like, stop it, and then they hit you. Whatever it is about girls, it's almost like when they get to the P meets the I and the stop it, it's like they get magnets on their fingers and it goes straight to the defibrillator. And it's hard to be cool when a girl slaps you in the chest and then like you're almost in tears because your skin's pinching metal and all of a sudden you're like, you know, Don Draper, and then all of a sudden you're almost in tears. So, you know, I remember one time a girl hit me, dropped to my knees, Trey ran up to me, he's like, hey, you can't do that to him, that's a no zone. So thank you, Trey. And, but, you know, you have to have a sense of humor about it. I don't, like I said, the gravity of it is too big to like let it take you over. Like I appreciate everything the American Heart Association has done for me because with them I felt connected with people. Like that first week, you know, it's just me against the world in this condition. So when I found out, you know, this network of people that I could go, you know, connect with and realize I'm not alone, very uplifting for me to know that, you know, there's others like me and, you know, don't worry about it, like we can get through this together. So, you know, is it something that I take lightly? No. Is it something I realize, you know, statistically speaking, is this how I'm going to kick it? Probably. But, you know, it's not something I'm going to let define me, you know, outdo me as a person. I'm Alex Cadice. I like to think I have other characteristics about me that are a little bit better than I'm rocking a defibrillator and I have a heart condition. So, with that being said, that's all about all I got. So, thank you very much.